Hello friends, welcome back to Spellhaven, a D&D channel where everyone, yes everyone including you, is welcome. So come on in, sit down, let's have a discussion and learn to play D&D together. Tonight, welcome back, another episode of D&D Behind the Scenes Campaign Prep Edition, as I am getting prepared to run my first homebrew campaign come the end of January. If you're just starting this here, I'll give a little bit of a brief recap of kind of where I'm at. I've got some time still. We're sort of mid-December at this point. I started running D&D at the beginning of COVID. I ran Storm King's Thunder, then we ran Rime of the Frost Maiden, which was a fantastic campaign, and then I did my best. We kind of put it on the shelf, but I did my best with Spelljammer, Light of Xerxes, and in that time, as I quickly figured out, there are moments during any published campaign where you're going to have to sort of veer off script, write your own stuff, come up with some side quests, some adventures, some areas that characters want to explore, players want to explore that simply aren't in the book. And for the case of Spelljammer, that was quite a bit. But I had the most fun doing that in Rime of the Frost Maiden. And so coming up after that, there weren't too many published adventures that I was terribly excited about. And I had a lot of ideas that I wanted to try out. And so I thought, let's just do the thing where I make stuff for my players, for the people that I've been playing with for 3 years, that I think they would like, and I think it would be fun. So we're starting a homebrew campaign. And I think at this point, having run some published adventures, I have a pretty good idea of what I need and what I don't need at the outset. So to give a bit of to bring you up to speed, if you're kind of cutting in and watching this for the first time now, we're still running this in the Forgotten Realms setting because it's the world that I've known and I know the most about, and there already exists plenty of content for me to steal from and to use as far as the campaign setting goes. So Forgotten Realms, I'm doing this in a bit of an alternate universe, and because I, much like apparently Wizards of the Coast, likes plays on words and puns and that sort of stuff, I am calling this Unremembered Worlds. It's in my own take on the Forgotten Realms. So stupid little play on words there. That was going to be the placeholder, but I think that's what we're going to call it. This is a world that's exploring two ideas. One, a world in which the gods kind of walk amongst mortals, and two, start the campaign with characters right in the middle of the action being framed for murder, and we'll kind of run a murder mystery for the first main, quest or so. So the reason that gods and deities are sort of sequestered to walking amongst mortals and some of their powers aren't quite there. At the time, if you're familiar with a little bit of the Forgotten Realms lore, at the time of Karsus's folly, not only did Mistress step in and try to prevent that from happening, a bunch of other gods, were required to try and make this happen and try to stop it from happening because they saw that if Karsus was allowed to take control of magic and steal the powers of a god, it would have resulted in pretty bad things, basically the end of existence. And the gods, being so taken by their mortal followers, broke the pact, broke the divine agreement, stepped in and intervened directly, and were then punished by the overgod Ao for that. Saying basically like, hey, if you like these mortals so much, go and walk amongst them, like you're immortal yourself. Created this alternate world, and here we are. They are not allowed to talk about the events that happened, and they are just a lot more accessible. Because of that, there are a bunch of weird anomalies that are happening throughout the world, and I'll explore that as the campaign goes. But to start, we are beginning in Elturel, because it is a city that I had not really explored much in previous campaigns. And as far as I could tell, it's not really a city that any published adventure goes into, not in depth anyways. I understand that it's referenced in Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, that adventure, but I don't think it actually takes place in Elturel. The events of Elturel are referenced, but to give you an idea of where Elturel is, I'll pull up the map here. This is a screen cap, a cropped screen cap from the big Forgotten Realms overmap. So if we kind of take a look here, this is actually a lot further south than a lot of adventures start. Well, besides Baldur's Gate anyways. It is just east of Baldur's Gate, up the river Kyanthar, or Chianthar. I don't know how anybody else pronounces it. I'm going with Kyanthar because that sounds cool to me. And Elturgard is this collection of cities all under the rule, the rule is a loose word, of Elturel. Elturel kind of oversaw the protection of these cities, thus Elturgard. And I picked it because I thought it would fit the idea that I had, and there are plenty of areas neighboring that are really interesting for us to explore. There's a whole vast wasteland below here that I don't remember the name of. We have 2 forests with some pretty interesting history, and off to the north, I don't remember the name of the city or the area, but there's it's like Nahar or something, where there's all sorts of cool things, interesting creatures, marrow and the like, that sometimes come down and try to poke at Elturel's defenses. So that could be really interesting too. It's a place where there's a lot of possibility for additional quests. So, where I left off here, in prep for this, I just took a look at my to-do list and saw what I needed to do and kind of went through that. I'm imagining that the campaign prep videos, this series, until we actually start, probably not going to be terribly long. Once we get into actual session prep, this will be closer to, 30 to 40 minutes in length. But for now, it's just me talking about my ideas and what to do next. I've heard back, I sent out the questionnaire, this session 0 questionnaire for players. I'm essentially going to have individual one-on-one session 0s because I want to start them each being kind of framed separately for a different murder, and then they all kind of converge in town or something like that. I kind of need to get their stories first and then come up with some starting situations to figure out how that's going to intertwine. But I've only heard back from one player on this questionnaire. That's totally fine. It's only mid-December. We're starting at the end of January, so we got plenty of time. So I'm kind of working on just one character's initial situation to start. But in our to-do list, this is kind of what I made last time. Further research on Elturel, which I have done. Elturel, really interesting city. Lots of history. There was a whole this whole situation with vampires back in the history of it, in which the High Observer, the leader of Elturel, was revealed himself to be a vampire, and all these minions. It looked really, really bad for Elturgard, and out of kind of nowhere, there appeared this sphere, this second sun that came down and cast sunlight all over Elturel, scattering and destroying these undead and anything else that supported the vampire. And the day was saved, and that second sun remained. It just is constantly on, always second daylight, so that there's 24 hours of some sort of light. Makes for a really interesting setting. Now, come to find out, as I read, that was because the High Observer kind of, not like the High Observer that was the vampire, but a different one, kind of made a pact with a demon, I believe. And that's kind of why that happened. And this is kind of relating to the events of Descent into Avernus, which I'm not really getting into. I'm writing this as canon, though that did happen, but the fallout is kind of where I'm diverging from that path. So because of that, yeah, Elturel is really kind of a safer place than most big cities, because you can't get away with crime when there's daylight 24/7. So because of that, Elturel operates on a system of bells to kind of denote end of the workday, beginning of the workday, sun up, sun down, that sort of stuff. Begin to outline starting combat. This is still something I kind of need to do, so I'm gonna not check that. Come up with at least 3 early side quests. This I am sort of still toying with. I have not really come up with them yet. I'm still sort of waiting on players to send me that questionnaire filled out, but all that to say, I think there are plenty of interesting possibilities. I did research these wood of sharp teeth and reaching woods, and I actually, prior to doing this video tonight, I actually typed into if I go to my Notion, go to Where is it? Locations. I started filling out information for both of these. This is straight information from the Wikipedia, which I have linked here. I can pull this up at any point, go to the Wood of Sharp Teeth Wikipedia, and I've basically just bullet pointed the interesting points here. The Wood of Sharp Teeth contains this ruined city of Valar. Was called such because of the person that founded it. This city is destroyed now by Selûne after there was warfare between Valar and this other city where there was a magic portal to this city called Mithlarast. Wood of Sharp Teeth, home to the Flora Maiden's Milk, used to suppress coughing, and Bellows Root, which causes vomiting. Formerly was called the Glimmerwood by the elves of this other city called Askavar. May or may have come up, but I thought the Glimmerwood was a really cool name. And could be some information that is just scattered in some notes somewhere in Elturel. Briefly was called the Werewoods after this figure, Grand Duke Valarkin. There was an attempted coup on Baldur's Gate, and he retreated, this failed coup, he retreated into the woods. Him and his lycanthrope followers retreated back into the city and tried rebuilding Valar. The Wikipedia says this is home to satyrs, dryads, and maybe werewolves. So I think that's some interesting possibility for some quests. It's got interesting creatures, interesting history. The Reaching Woods, on the other hand, this is a little bit different. That is this wood off to the northeast, or directly east of Elturel, northeast of the Elturgard as a whole. The Reaching Woods, said to be this peaceful and tranquil sort of woods with lots of like little, wading pools and the like. Elturgard retains that it is all just a false facade. Lots of evil stuff there. It's called the Reaching Woods because it is split by the River Reaching. The northern area called the North Dark Wood, or also called the Dusk Wood, or Relevel Fells, I hope I'm saying that right, wood, named after a person named with the same name. This area, this Reaching Woods, was ordered by High Observer Thavius Krieg to, it was boarded up and entry was banned. It was said that there were unpermitted, there were unapproved deities being worshipped there and demons being worshipped there and all the like. So again, another area that is, I mean, if you make an area that says, hey, don't go in there, what do you think the characters are going to do? They're going to go in there. So another area for possible side quests. Back to the to-do list. So I've kind of come up with some of that stuff. I had an idea also for, as I talked about these anomalies, I like the idea of just random weird things happening in the world that makes players go, wait a sec, that's not supposed to happen. Why is that? The idea being that these anomalies are happening because of the god's intervention long ago, and they are increasing in frequency. And I think I want to use, this is kind of a maybe a nerdy thing, or maybe a bit of a, I don't want to say a cop-out, but I want to use like this reverse Fibonacci spiral sequence so that it's happening very slowly at first, very scattered through the records of history. It's occurring more frequently until finally it's like faster and faster. And then hopefully players research that, find that out and go, wait a second, I know what this is. The next one, we can expect it in like 3 days or whatever it is. And then they get to go see that and find out where it is. Which of these works best for a forced anomaly? I had an idea where there could be an entire religion or a group of followers because they hear this voice in the woods and they are taking it as divine command, and we're following this based on what voice we hear. And it's just conversation peeking over from the actual Forgotten Realms as these worlds are colliding at this weird point, weird anomaly. And it's just basically like mundane conversation in a royal court somewhere. I think between the two, I mean, both of those could work. Reaching Wood or Wood of Sharp Teeth. Maybe the Reaching Woods. I think that was the one that's kind of boarded up. I don't know. Either one works pretty good. Find a workable map of Elturel. Top down for character exploration and first person view for usage as a card. I still don't have that. I'm not terribly worried about that. You can find, any first person view, first person artistic rendition of a fantasy city, and it'll probably be good enough. So I'm not terribly worried about that. I did, however, find this overview map of El Terrell on World Anvil, and I don't know if I'm supposed to have access to this, but I found it. So I'll just bring this over really quickly. I like it because it's the best one that I've found so far. And I have started researching some of these locations. Shiara's market is just basically it's your average town square market. The garden, this is kind of a more of a ritzy area. El Terrell is sort of built on an elevation. Sorry, and lots of interesting stuff in here. I'm not going to get into the details of the garden today, but there's at least I have some sort of map and some interesting facts about the city for players to explore. Now, what else? Have I started looking at? Let's go to characters. I don't think I put anything into characters yet. I'm gonna pull this over here. And because I had one of my players send me information on their character. And I want to start filling some of this in. I wish I had a character sheet for it, but I don't. So let's just start filling in some of this stuff. This character's name is Rowan. And I think character name, languages, we'll put category player? Wait, hidden in table. Hold on a second. Notion, what are you doing? There we go. Played by Lane. So let's open this. This should open a whole new thing. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this player had mentioned, he gave me an NPC that the character knows. Let's see, follower of. So this player is playing this character that is, it's Rowan Tool. Follower of. Where was it? I found the Dream Whisperer. Let me go pull up the page for this while I'm here. Copy that. Kai Fan, aka the Purple Star and the Dream Whisperer. So we'll have to. I did a little bit of brief reading on this entity, so I have somewhat of an idea. Follower of the Dream Whisperer. Weak in faith and shallow in the pantheon. It gave me. Right. Where is it? Here we go. Knows Felton Harris. Local human fisher. Frequently goes between El Terrell and the player and I were discussing the name of a city that this character Rowan would be from, because it was supposed to be this small village. And looking at El Terrell and the surrounding cities, where's my page here? I wanted to pull up the overland map. None of the surrounding cities fit small little like 100-person village. So I think what we're gonna do is come up with a city that's close to either the Wood of Sharp Teeth or the Reaching Woods. And we were discussing some names. We didn't really settle on one yet. But that's where the character's from, and that's where this NPC Felton Harris would travel in between. Would kind of make sense. Maybe it makes a lot more sense for the Reaching Woods if he's traveling up and down the river. So I think I'm going to involve this character, Felton Harris, in part of the initial session 0, maybe even a little bit of the first quest. Or maybe I can allude to some stuff. I had this idea of a gem mine that has to do with this initial murder. And I thought, well, maybe Felton Harris can be, he can show some fragments of gems that he had found, and they can follow the river to find this mine. Maybe it's like actually up the river closer to like Triel or something, or it's in this zone kind of in the middle. But I want to involve Felton Harris somehow. So yeah, I'll flesh out this stuff as I find out more information. And off screen, I want to copy the information that this player gave me about their character. Let's go back. What else do I have here? I think this might be it. Let me check my notes from last time. Yes, I did sort of talk about the history of El Terrell last time. Yeah, I decided not to go with Daggerford. But I think let's write myself some notes for next time. Some to do. Campaign overview to do. So we'll come up with this. Flesh out the side quests. Let's fill out Rowan's info. Settle on a city. And I need to I have some ideas for the starting situation too. I think I want to set it up so where oh, let's also do this. Name of my name's Rowan's boss. Name of leatherworking shop. So Rowan also came to El Terrell in search of some specific things relating to his backstory, but found work in leatherworking. It's one of the things that El Terrell exports or trades in. And so I think I'm going to set this up such that Rowan is a newer worker and maybe has like an iffy first impression with the boss. And part of this first task is delivering this pretty expensive commission to the High Observer. And that's how we're going to get him in there, and this whole frame for murder setup's going to happen. So I think that's how I'm going to start that one. I need to actually like write that out into detail so it's not just living up in the head. What else? Let me check the time here. See how we're doing. Coming up on 20 minutes or so. 20-ish minutes. I think that's going to do it for now. A lot of it's odd because a lot of the prep that I do in between these isn't filling out a bullet point list, but it's just stewing with the ideas in my head and then maybe writing them down. So it's a little bit of a loose framework of prep. And as I get actually closer to running the actual campaign, session prep is going to be a little more structured, like previous session preps that I have on the channel. But I just thought it would be fun for other people to follow along and follow me on this journey of running my first homebrew campaign. So if you had fun, if you liked it, if this helped, let me know with a like and a subscribe and a share it if you want to. And if not, that's totally fine too. There's plenty of D&D content on the internet. Plenty of stuff that I myself subscribe and watch in my downtime. So thank you for sticking with me. This is Spellhaven, another episode of D&D behind the scenes campaign prep. My name is Jaron, and I will see you next time. You're always welcome here. See ya.